It's nice to meet you. I always thought that was a good greeting and a very underrated one. Assuming, of course, you actually want to meet the person. If you're being disingenuous, then I guess it doesn't really matter. But welcome to my very first ASMR video. I'm definitely a tad nervous and I don't exactly know what to say. The first thing I will say is that I'm looking at myself at the phone and making eye contact with myself, whereas the camera is actually right there. So, hi. Forgive me if I'm looking at myself more than you. It's not a narcissistic thing, I swear. It's just what's making me comfortable at the moment. I guess I'll tell you why I'm doing this. It's because I have very bad insomnia and have had bad insomnia for the past 2 years now. It'll be 3 here shortly. And that is mainly dependent on the seasons more than anything. Spring and summer I am fine. I don't have this issue. But in the fall and especially the winter time, like right now it's January, it is exceptionally bad, and for a while it had devastating effects on my life. And so part of the reason I want to do this is to not only do something creative that allows me to do it in a calm way that is almost meditative, that might assist me in calming down and going to sleep, and the other is to hopefully give back to the community, because ASMR has had a very positive effect on my life the past few years. Which is odd to say because we're just a bunch of weirdos whispering into microphones, but it's amazing the actual effect that it can have. So I just wanted to start something creative, and hopefully this can turn into something, or at the very least, if this can just help one person, that'll make all the difference to me. So with that said, first off, I am well aware my microphone is tilted like that. That's just how it's going to have to be for the time being. But second of all, as far as insomnia is concerned, I think talking about how I've battled it and the tips that have worked for me. First off, there's a book by a woman named Jade Wu called Hello Sleep. If you do not own this book, it is the one thing that made the biggest difference in my life. It is super easy to read and well informative, and it actually got me sleeping about it as soon as I finished it. And there's a ton of different, if you hate reading, there's a ton of different chapters that you can just skip. There's a very big chapter on how to solve insomnia while you're pregnant, which, I'm going to take a guess and say most of us aren't pregnant, so right, just that right there, a whole chunk of the book you can skip. It's super easy to get through. But the number one tip I wanted to mention was to not try to fall asleep. I've been up for about over 24 hours now, and that's actually pretty good for me. The reason why I tried to sleep is because I genuinely thought I could a few hours ago, and that didn't happen, but that's to be expected. But the reason why you don't want to actually try to go to sleep is because your mind is in a state where that's just not going to happen, and sitting there in your bed and getting frustrated just makes things worse for you mentally, and it does not make you fall asleep any easier. Exhaustion is the key to going to bed, and paradoxically, you can get yourself in a spot where you're just not going to go to sleep despite being exhausted. So the key is to just keep doing things, which is genuinely kind of painful at a certain point. Like, I love to read, for example, and reading is very, very difficult when you are so sleep deprived that your brain can hardly focus on anything. Because even though you are reading something, you're not comprehending any of it, so that's difficult for me. If I'm just forced to stay up, then by all means, I'll just take that time and do something productive that I want to do with it, but the fact that I can't focus on any of that is what feels the most nightmarish. Like I'm stuck in some sort of limbo that I can't get out of either one way or another. It really messes with me, and I'm not... It's bizarre that the human brain can even allow that to happen, but here we are. So, to reiterate, and then to get into more specific details, when you can't sleep, and you can just tell that it's not going to happen, the best thing you can do is to not sit there, but is to get up and try and do something, and just give yourself extra me time. There's nothing wrong with that, and honestly, a lot of us want more time than is available to us, so the fact that we can get it in a very unfortunate way, but the fact that we can get that through insomnia is actually pretty cool. Another thing I wanted to mention that goes in hand with getting up and doing something is to not be in your bed unless you're actually going to sleep. Brain likes to assume different spots to habits. So if you're using your bed for scrolling on your phone and reading and playing something on your Switch and then also trying to sleep and whatever other weird nasty things you do in that bed, your brain isn't going to recognize being in bed as sleeping. So if instead you do all those things, at the very least just on the couch or in a different room, that makes all the difference and makes your mind think that, okay, it's bedtime, so maybe I should just go to sleep. Of course, it still might not happen, and that's okay. The main goal with insomnia and actually getting to sleep is still living a completely normal and productive life, which might sound crazy because if you're anything like me, you think not being able to sleep means you can't do things, and it makes you think that maybe I should put that off because I'm going to be tired. If you have somewhere to go or you got invited to somewhere and you didn't sleep the night before, you're going to think the worst of yourself and think that you can't do that, and that's not exactly the case. Obviously, it depends on person to person, but if your brain is so determined to be awake that it isn't going to sleep no matter what, then it's capable of still doing some things. Of course, it's going to be deterred from acting at its full capacity. Like I said, reading is difficult for me, but talking to people is still not too bad, so long as I'm pretty chill about it. If I really happen to get into a conversation, which is rare, but if that happens, I tend to stutter a lot if I haven't slept. But the main thing that you can do is to get up when you need to get up and continue to live your day as normally as you can, and exhaustion is going to quickly enter your body, and your brain is going to think, oh my god, we need rest, because at the end of the day we are human beings and you are designed to go to sleep. We've wrapped ourselves around a weird spot where that doesn't happen, which is just, a bug in the system. But you are supposed to go to sleep, and it's gonna happen, so believe me, it will. So just focus on living your life as normally as possible, and you'll be surprised how quickly all of that catches up with you, and you're sitting there in bed lying down. For me, personally, when I do this trick, what usually happens is by the time 4 hits, 4 p.m., I'm so exhausted and it's so easy for me to go to bed. And if I don't have anything else to do tonight, then I will go to bed at 4, which sounds like the biggest old man trait ever, but sometimes that's what you gotta do. If there is something that you need to do, however, and you need to stay up, then that 4 to 6 o'clock for me personally is extremely difficult to stay awake. And then by the time 7, 8, 9 o'clock happens, then I'm awake again. That's just my circadian rhythm. I am a night owl at heart, and it seems like my ancestors all gave me the genes of taking a nap before it gets dark so that I can stay up and watch everyone sleep. That sounded kind of weird, but you know what I mean. That's what we used to do when we were living in the woods all the time, and that's still ingrained in our memories, and that's how clearly I was meant to operate if I was still in that setting. Some things are easier than others when you're horribly sleep deprived. Like I said, reading is really difficult, but something that is a lot easier for me is drawing. I used to draw all the time as a kid. It's something that I feel like I've let go just as I've become an adult, and it's something I don't want to let go. I want to keep that childlike wonder within me, and drawing is really calming for me to do. And that has not left me, and that allows me to express myself in a very quiet way, and quiet is what I need when lack of sleep makes the inside part of me very chaotic, and I feel like I'm going insane. To be able to just chill out and not have to think and just focus on one specific thing is beautiful, because what we keep trying to do is focus on sleep, and focusing on sleep is a fool's errand and not a good idea, because you can't. The whole point is that when you're asleep you're not focusing on anything, so to try to focus on that, it really doesn't help, and it doesn't make any sense. Also, it's very windy out. I hope you can't hear that too much. To change subjects a little bit, when I'm not sleep deprived, the things I like to do the most are to create in some fashion, or to just consume massive amounts of media, or to get outside. Although I have been fortunate enough to have a job where I work outside, but that's mainly in the summer. So in the winter, it's still very depressing, and I have horrible seasonal depression, which helps, or which is it does not help with the insomnia. It's a big reason why I have it. But I do love to play and write and make music. That is the biggest passion maybe of my life. And then I love to draw and read when I can. I also definitely am a sucker for video games, and I'm gonna go play Resident Evil 4 after this is done. Or maybe Halo or Mass Effect, as you can see, is up there. I'm also a big fan of, you can see it right there, is the X-Files. I'm a big TV and movie guy, and the X-Files is one of my favorites. For both a series and a movie. There's 2 movies. I've actually only seen the first one, but I do love that. And there's so many of my favorite episodes ever of TV that are a part of the X-Files. I think the best thing that these things inspire me to do is to take the negative emotions that I feel and put them into something so that they're not stuck within me. And insomnia creates a lot of those, but it does fuel a lot of creativity, and that makes me feel better knowing that I turned something negative, which we all have to deal with, and turn it into something very positive, because that's all you can. You either sit with it or you're able to let it go, which is exceptionally difficult, or you turn it into something, kind of transform it into something that makes this world a better place, either for you or for other people, and that's super cool and important. I'm definitely still nervous about this, and I'm kind of drawing a blank on what to talk about, but I just wanted to say, if you listened to this and made it so far, thank you so much. I hope these tips helped. I think I'm going to revisit this subject soon when I perhaps have notes, because I'm kind of just spitballing right now in order to maybe get more specific and help out. But for now, I just wanted to say thank you so much, and hopefully this can turn into something. I'm pretty excited for what the future might hold. So I hope you eventually sleep well. I know you're gonna. I'm not worrying about that. It's just a matter of time and living your life. Remember to continue to live your life and do what you enjoy despite the negatives inside and outside of you. With that said, I